This is Beyond Stories, where every heart hides a storm and every silence has a story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because what you're about to hear will stay with you long after it ends. Let's begin. The city was asleep under the weight of rain when Daniel Carter sat by the window of his small apartment. The dim yellow light from the old lamp flickered, throwing shadows across the walls. He had just come home from his second job, exhausted but still smiling, as he watched his daughter Lily scribbling on her notebook. She was 6, with curious eyes and a voice full of sunshine, the only reminder of the love he had lost too soon. "Daddy," she said softly, "will Mommy come back when it stops raining?" Her words carried the innocence of childhood, but they cut deep. Daniel smiled faintly and kissed her forehead. "No, sweetheart. Mommy's in heaven now, watching over us." Lily nodded, not fully understanding, but trusting his words. She went back to drawing, humming softly to herself, and Daniel felt that familiar ache in his chest. Love mixed with pain, hope mixed with exhaustion. After tucking Lily into bed, he sat at the table covered with unpaid bills. Rent, electricity, groceries, numbers that didn't add up no matter how he tried. His hands trembled slightly as he counted the little money he had left. He had once dreamed of being an architect, designing homes full of light and warmth. Now he just prayed to keep a roof over their heads. Life had stripped away his pride, but never his love for Lily. The next morning, as he walked to work with his coffee in hand and rain dripping down his coat, his phone rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen. He hesitated, then answered. "Mr. Daniel Carter, this is the executive office of Alverton Holdings. You've been shortlisted for a senior design position. Are you available for an interview today?" Daniel froze mid-step. "Yes. Yes, absolutely," he replied, barely breathing. After months of rejection, this sounded unreal. By noon, Daniel stood in front of the Alverton Tower, 50 floors of glass, metal, and power. The building itself seemed to breathe authority. Inside, everything gleamed. Marble floors, scent of fresh lilies, and the echo of heels tapping down the hall. He felt small, nervous, and out of place among people in designer suits, but something in him refused to back down. He had to try, for Lily, for their future. The receptionist greeted him politely and led him to the top floor. "Ms. Alverton will see you now," she said. He entered a spacious office that overlooked the city skyline. Behind the sleek mahogany desk sat Evelyn Alverton, the youngest billionaire CEO in the city, known for turning bankrupt companies into empires. She didn't look up when he walked in. "You're late, Mr. Carter," she said coldly. "Traffic, ma'am," he murmured. "Excuses," she replied, finally meeting his eyes. Her gaze was sharp, assessing, the kind of look that saw through everything. She grilled him for half an hour. Questions about structure, vision, innovation. And with every answer, Daniel felt the pressure rising. But he didn't crumble. He spoke with honesty and passion, describing not just buildings, but stories, spaces where people could feel safe, alive, human. When he finished, Evelyn closed her tablet and leaned back. "You're not like the others," she said simply. "You start Monday. Don't make me regret it." He almost forgot to breathe. "Thank you, Ms. Alverton. I won't let you down." Weeks turned into months. Daniel worked harder than anyone else in the department. He arrived early, stayed late, and poured his heart into every design. Slowly, even Evelyn began to notice. She was a woman who rarely smiled, always in control, always distant. But she found herself watching him. The way he focused, the way he talked about architecture like it was poetry. He was different from the men she was used to, humble, genuine, unshaken by her power. One evening, the office was nearly empty. Evelyn stood by the window staring at the city lights, lost in thought. Daniel walked in with a file. "Ms. Alverton, the new layout you requested." She turned, her eyes meeting his. "You're always rushing home," she said suddenly. "Tell me, what's waiting for you there?" He hesitated, unsure if it was a trick question. "My daughter," he said finally. "She won't sleep until I tell her a story." Her face softened slightly. "You're a single father?" He nodded. "My wife passed away when Lily was born." For the first time, Evelyn looked away. Something flickered in her expression. Not pity, but recognition. Life doesn't always ask before it takes, she said quietly. There was silence, heavy and unspoken, before she added, "Go home, Carter. She's waiting." That night, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about her words. Beneath her steel exterior, there was pain. He didn't know what kind, but he could feel it. Over the following weeks, Evelyn found excuses to talk to him. A design review here, a random question there. Their conversations shifted from business to small glimpses of life. She learned he cooked every meal for Lily, that he still kept his late wife's wedding ring in a drawer. He learned she had no family left, that her success had cost her every piece of normal happiness. Slowly, the walls between them began to crack. Then one Thursday morning, disaster struck. Daniel received a call from his landlord. "If you don't pay rent by Friday, I'll have to evict you." He hung up, his stomach twisting. He had just enough money for groceries and Lily's school fees, not for both rent and food. He went to work trying to focus, but Evelyn noticed the change instantly. "You're distracted, Carter," she said in a meeting. "What's wrong?" He shook his head. "It's personal." "I'll handle it." She raised an eyebrow. "I don't like half answers." Later that day, she called him to her office again. "Tell me what's going on." Daniel finally confessed everything. The unpaid rent, the financial struggle, his fear of losing their home. Evelyn listened silently, then took out her phone. "What are you doing?" he asked nervously. "Handling it," she said. Within minutes, she called his landlord and transferred the amount. When he protested, she stopped him cold. "Consider it an advance. Don't argue." He was grateful, but word spread quickly through the company. Rumors started, whispers about the CEO and the single father. Colleagues began looking at him differently, some with envy, others with scorn. Daniel hated the attention, but Evelyn seemed unaffected. Until one day, she summoned him again. And this time, her expression was unreadable. "There's something I need from you, Carter," she began. "And it's not business." Daniel frowned, uneasy. "My father's estate lawyer is coming tomorrow," she explained. "He believes I'm incapable of managing the company alone. According to his terms, if I don't appear settled, meaning married, control of certain assets could shift to my cousin." "I can't let that happen," Daniel blinked. "And what does that have to do with me?" She took a breath. "I need someone I can trust. Someone believable. Pretend I'm your wife, just for a few days. Attend a dinner, play the part, and this problem disappears." Daniel stared in disbelief. "You want me to pretend we're married?" Evelyn's eyes locked onto his. "Yes, or you can pack your things. The choice is yours," her words hit like a slap. He knew she wasn't joking. He wanted to say no. But then he thought of Lily, their tiny apartment, and the eviction notice waiting at home. He nodded slowly. "I'll do it." Evelyn didn't smile, but her eyes softened just slightly. "Good. Tomorrow at 7. The next day, Evelyn arrived at his apartment. Her expensive perfume mixed with the faint smell of pancakes and crayons. Lily peeked out from behind the couch, curious. "Daddy, who's the pretty lady?" Evelyn knelt, smiling awkwardly. "I'm your dad's friend," Lily giggled. "You talk funny." For the first time in a long while, Evelyn laughed, a real laugh that surprised even her. Something about that child's innocence cracked the armor she'd built around herself. Over the next few days, they rehearsed their story. How they met, when they fell in love, what little details made their relationship believable. Evelyn visited often, learning the rhythm of their simple life. The bedtime stories, the cluttered kitchen, the love that filled every corner. And slowly something began to change. She started to care. Daniel noticed it too. The way her voice softened when she spoke to Lily, the way she lingered longer than necessary, the way she smiled now without realizing it. For a woman who had everything, she seemed to have discovered something she never knew she needed. But just as the act started to feel real, Daniel's heart began to ache. He reminded himself that it was all temporary, a business arrangement, a performance. She was a millionaire CEO. He was just an employee with nothing but dreams and a daughter. Still, every time she sat beside him and Lily laughed between them, he wished the lie could somehow become truth. The dinner was held at Evelyn's mansion, a place of crystal chandeliers and marble halls. Daniel wore a borrowed suit, his hands slightly shaking. Evelyn stood beside him, poised and graceful. When the lawyer arrived, she slipped her hand into his. It was supposed to be for show, but the warmth of her fingers made his heart skip. "You make a convincing husband, Mr. Carter," she whispered under her breath. "You make it easy," he replied. Throughout the evening, they played their roles perfectly. They talked, laughed, and shared glances that even the lawyer believed. When the night ended, the lawyer congratulated Evelyn and left satisfied. But when the door closed, silence fell. Evelyn turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You did well," she said softly. "Thank you." He smiled faintly. "Any time, Mrs. Carter." She froze just for a second before walking away. That single word, Mrs. Carter, lingered in her mind long after he was gone. The next morning, she woke up thinking about him, about Lily, about that small, warm apartment that somehow felt more like home than her mansion ever did. She told herself it was just gratitude, but her heart whispered otherwise. Meanwhile, Daniel looked at Lily eating breakfast and wondered why his chest hurt every time he thought about Evelyn's smile. And neither of them knew it yet. But the line between pretending and feeling was about to blur in ways neither of them could control.